Look who just rolled in. It's time to butter up your ears for laughs, life, and a little flaky wisdom. It's all about the biscuits with RJ.
At All About the Biscuits, we believe life's just a big old platter of toppings. Flaky, spicy, sweet, even messy. And guess what? We butter them all up and dig right in. Whether it's real talk or ridiculous rants. I'm RJ and we're serving it hot. All topics, all biscuits, always served hot.
So, a little bit about this last week. I had a little bit of everything. I was sore. I was grateful. I was frustrated. And it reminded me that people can still show up for each other. We're going to laugh a little. We're going to talk a little. And we're going to talk about some stuff that doesn't make sense. And we're going to slow it down just for a minute so that we can reflect. Welcome back to All About the Biscuits. That's right, with RJ, this guy. I just want to say thank you to all our new listeners. Thank you to all our current listeners. Keep subscribing. We are over 1,100 subscribers on YouTube, and we couldn't do it without you. So we can just get right into it. I just want to set expectations for this week's delivery, this week's session, this week's episode, podcast, whatever you want to call it. And let me tell you, it's cold up in here. It's cold up in here. You know, here in the Charleston area, it's freezing for us. And I don't like it. I get the shivers and so just to set expectations, we're going to be honest, imperfect, and have human conversation. Because this past week was one that was just comfortable, but yet things that I watched, I read, I saw, bring it all together that throughout history, people can come together for each other. And, you know, there's no script, one take, one edit, that's all. So for anyone that doesn't want to be here, come on, just listen. Listen and observe. Listen and realize there's no judgment here. So let's get rolling. The latest thing for me personally is ChatGPT. Because my wife makes fun of me. Because Alvin is his name, is like my new best friend with all this useless information right at my fingertips. And Alvin even says thank you. Alvin is always here for you. It is one of the greatest resources, whether it's work, whether it's the foundation, whether it's just for searching items that I would have to search for through like Google search or such. And Alvin has become like my left arm. Alvin helps me solve issues so fast It doesn't do the work for me, but it's used as a tool. And I love it. Not going to deny it. Not going to deny it. And I started using Copilot, Gemini, and they're pretty good. They are pretty good. But with ChatGPT, I can keep all the lists, everything's organized. And it is just amazing how far AI has come and how far it really is already without knowing. I mean, Terminator back in the day, we're going there. So since I've dropped a couple I can't even say it. Since I've dropped a few LBSs, Alvin's also put together a new 2-week rotation workout for me. 3 days a week, heavy bag, all this good crap. Easy on the knees, easy on the Achilles, because I always have issues. Let me tell you, one of the workouts is lower extremities. And when you already have skinny legs, no calves, and you're working out your legs, and within a day or two, you are so sore that you're wishing your fucking toilet was taller. Because to get up is so painful. Even going down. My legs were so sore that bending over to pick up the dog poop hurt so bad. But the main thing is I'm getting a better workout than I did before. And I actually don't hurt with my knees, my elbows, my joints, my arthritis. And it's amazing that, once again, Alvin can do this for me. So, a new show that I started watching, I don't know, I think it came on like 2 years ago, has really hit home with real life topics, clever, intelligent writing. The script is just phenomenal. And the actors' delivery is perfect, right on par. It's a show on Apple called Shrinking. The comedy, the drama, the emotions. I mean, the writing for the show is amazing. Totally amazing. And Harrison Ford, damn, I can't remember all their names. Jason Segel, I think is the other guy's name. But all of the characters are perfectly portrayed. And the fact that the comedy, the drama, and all the punchlines are perfectly executed is amazing. They go from having comedy within a drama of someone being taken from them because of an accident of a drunk driver. And it leads to one of the characters' destruction because he doesn't know how to handle it. It by far, in recent seasons, has been a perfect show because it touches on seriousness of situations that people deal with every day in life. And it touches on everything from the loss of someone, depression, the loss of a wife, the loss of a mother. How does the daughter deal with it, with the father being destructive, and because he doesn't know how to handle it emotionally, how to grieve. And it just punches home with the comedy because the actors, and each of them for their characters is right on par, 100%. When you watch a show, you just couldn't picture someone else in those roles. And Harrison Ford as the patriarch, father figure of the show, brings it all together. And I highly recommend it for everyone. And it also talks about how this group of neighbors who become such good friends come together in the time of tragedy, come together in time of the good, the bad, and the ugly to support one another. And this season started with, or actually, I should say, this season continued from last season, where Harrison Ford's character, the main psychiatrist, discovering that he has Parkinson's, which really hit home for me because my dad had Parkinson's and passed away last year. So I see the similarities with the tremoring, and not to give too much away, but the first episode has Michael J. Fox in the episode. And the last scene definitely made me tear up because it is exactly what my dad went through. And you realize that there's no turning back. Fuck Parkinson's. Continuing on about our seniors, I saw a news clip this past week, which was kind of disturbing. So local counties, or actually, let me back up. So seniors that own their house outright continue to pay property tax. Property values go up, so taxes go up. And a lot of these seniors are on fixed incomes. No big deal, except they're paying property tax on a home that they own outright, which I don't agree. And for these seniors, I believe there should just be a cap. When you paid your house off, that's what you pay in taxes, whatever it's assessed at, because they can't afford it at some point on a fixed income. And it's just sad to me to see where counties have programs for seniors to work off their tax debt. Does that make sense? Dignity versus bureaucracy. And being a libertarian, I don't like taxes. I understand they got to be paid for certain things, but the fact that our seniors have to pay more and more taxes on something they already own, paid outright, just because the value goes up, should be capped. Should be capped. And seniors that are struggling don't all qualify. How screwed up is that? How effing screwed up is that? You know, they can work and pay it off, but they also pay them like 10, 12 bucks an hour. How long do you have to pay? How long do you have to work to pay off your taxes when you're on a fixed income to begin with? Because property values go up. The logic and the fairness is just not there. Our seniors are a group of people that shouldn't have to suffer because of the economy, because of inflation. You know, once you have something paid off, I don't believe you should have to pay taxes on it anymore. And if you do, because a lot of our representatives just, they won't change anything to help out anybody. They'll say they do, but they don't. It's all a bunch of politics and bureaucracy. Our seniors should be capped. End of story. Seniors shouldn't have to earn what they've already earned. Okay, we are going in a separate direction. This first What the Biscuit segment is about a TV show that my wife and I started watching called Crime in Progress. It is raw footage of the police officers, law enforcement on scene for these cases. It is brilliantly, is that a word? I don't even know. Edited, following these cases with these officers. And it is mind-blowing of the footage that they have. So the one I want to talk about is House of Secrets. And this is one of those that could be a Netflix movie or even a series, like a 6-episode. Takes place in Wisconsin. It's 2014. Family members want to do a welfare check on their handicapped brother. He had been in a bad car accident early in life, which damaged his brain, so he had to be taken care of. Well, he lives with his mother. No big deal. So in 2014, they hadn't heard from him. So they called the police to do a welfare check. The cops get to the house, and there's a sign on the door, like handwritten with tape, that says, "We're out of town for 2 weeks on vacation." Okay. Not sure why you would tell anyone you're not home, come and rob us. Not smart. It's kind of like posting on social media, "Hey, look at where I'm at. I'm not home, so you can come and rob me now." So the cops get there. They see the sign, and they're like, okay. So, they go around the house. They try to see if anyone's there or if anyone will answer. They hear a woman's voice, and she says, "Please leave. Please go. The cops are like, there's a sign on the door that says you're not home, but you're home. So the cops try to get in or try to coerce her to open the door. And the family members are out on the street while the cops are there. And I believe it was a sister and brother-in-law. So the cops go in. Boom. It is pitch black everywhere. Curtains drawn, windows blocked, TVs covered. Anything with a reflection is covered with a red X. No lie. Even on the ceiling, there's red X's everywhere, all over the house, over the doors, over everything. And it is just pitch black everywhere. And this is during the day. And there's just crap everywhere. So they don't know where this lady is. They have no idea. So they start searching. Me? It was 2 police officers with their little flashlights. I'd be shitting my pants. This place was literally like Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill. Going through this house, pitch dark, trying to find this lady and her son. They walk down a hallway and they start clearing the house. They open the bathroom door. Boom. Son's laying on the ground, dead. Then they find mom hiding in a room, and she is flailing, going nuts. Mental case. Apparently, she's saying the son fell and that she couldn't move him. And the whole question is, why didn't you just call 911? Well, apparently, he had won a lot of insurance money from his accident early on in life. She had control over it, and she had dove into YouTube cult ministry and was sending them money. So that's where all the X's come from. It was crazy. So she ends up going to court. They tried to arrest her. She's out. I guess there was another sister and another brother. And one day, the other sister shows up like 4 years later. Mom's dead. Shot. The back of the head. What in the world is going on? This case, it's like one of those cases. It gets kookier and kookier. And you're like, what in the world? So the son apparently is a drug addict, the other one, and he had been given money and blew right through it. They never said why so much, the motive, but he shot his mother 3 times and then ran. Typical, gonna run. So this guy on his property is going down to a waterway. He sees a guy laying there, not moving. So he calls the cops. Smart. So the cops come. They go over to the guy just laying on the grass next to this mass of water. Stay with me. They had been searching for the brother. Well, they found the brother. He's laying there. And then all of a sudden, he turns over because they thought he was dead. And he's like, I was just napping. Literally on the grass next to this body of water, like a little pond. And they're like, well, is there anything we can do to help you? And, they're standing back because they don't know what to expect. And he's just acting all weird. Obviously, he was high on something. Pulls a gun out, starts waving it. All right, it's on. They start talking to him to talk him down, and he confesses to the entire thing. The sheriff's department, the police department, they all swarm in, and, they didn't want him to commit harm to himself. So they were talking to him. They were trying to talk him down, to put the gun down, and he was close. And then all of a sudden, he pointed the gun at the police officers, and that was it. This case started off crazy. And in the end, it was dealt with by law enforcement appropriately. And it was sad to see that people get caught up in these groups that take advantage of them, whether it's because of self-confidence or just being naive and not being skeptical enough. And it's just sad all around for this family. So just remember, if somebody needs help, there's always resources out there to help people, to be there for people. Okay, we are going to go into another segment of What the Biscuit. And this one, it's not as crazy on that side with crime and such, but this is awesome. Watched a documentary about the secret mall apartment. And if you have not seen it on Netflix, it is nothing of what you're thinking. It starts back in 2003. The mall in Providence was being built. And of course, it was being built next to a neighborhood, lower income, that was textile warehouses everywhere that had moved out. And of course, they put this big, giant mall up. But the backside is facing the lower income neighborhood. So you couldn't even get to it without going all the way around to the other side. This thing was so massive, they even moved waterways to build this, and they ended up putting a highway straight through the neighborhood on the other side. It was kind of like, the other side of the train tracks type of deal. And it was all about development and money. That's it. Development and money. That was the main thing. Money is the root of all evil. So you had all these abandoned textile warehouses. Well, when people didn't have a place to live because they couldn't afford it, let alone afford anything at the mall, they moved into these abandoned warehouses. Hey, I have no problem with it at all. And it became like a sanctuary for artists, whether it was music, whether it was art, whether it was painting, anything. And they had their own community there. Amazing. I loved it. Well, the city came in and said, we're going to bulldoze it down and build homes. Well, where the fuck are we supposed to go? You have all these people living there. No problems whatsoever. They made it their home. City said, you got to get out by the end of the month. What the fudge? So, Michael, I believe that was his name, was one of the artists who went exploring with his buddy. They had watched the mall being built, and they had seen and noticed an area of unoccupied space. So they decided to explore. Why not? What do young people do? Let's go explore. Let's figure out where this space is. Well, they couldn't figure out exactly where it was, like in the middle or such, but they finally found it. What they did was turn this space over a 4-year period, starting as a hangout, into an apartment where they could live. There were 8 artists that used this mall apartment to live in. Genius. Freaking genius. They used to eat at the food court at the mall because it was cheap. And it's not like these kids didn't work. They worked, but they didn't make much. They're what they call starving artists. But they went to Salvation Army, got a bunch of furniture. They made it their own. And when there were 8 of them at one time, this place, literally, dining room, couch, china cabinet. I mean, this was nuts. And come to find out, Michael had started doing tape art. What is tape art? He would go and buy rolls of painter tape. And Hope Project tape art was used to honor 9/11 firefighter victims. So the group of these artists went to New York City and started doing outlines, tape art, of representation of these firefighters and putting them all over the city, on the side of fire stations, on the side of like the big electrical boxes. Freaking amazing that they used their art in honor of 9/11 victims. I mean, they did over 500. I think they did it over a few years. All at the same time, we took a left turn here. Sorry, that's my right. We took a left turn from the mall apartment to tape art. And he and his artist friends were the only ones doing this. They did this art in remembrance of these victims, of these folks that we lost. Not as a performance, not for awards. It says a lot about a person that uses their talent for others as a selfless service. Well, then they took the tape art into a children's hospital, and they would ask the child, "Hey, what do you want to make?" They would do the tape art of whales horses, angels, anything, and put it on the hospital walls. They were more than inviting, hospital staff, and the kids would do it with them. Amazing. Freaking amazing. The disappointing thing was the city of New York was tearing down all this painter's tape, which didn't cause any damage, as they would come back and they'd be gone. And it's like, come on, man. Like, seriously? Yeah, you can argue it's graffiti, whatever, but it's not permanent. But then they started going into the children's hospital, and it's like, this is cool. Then schools started hearing about it. He got hired, and his class would go to do the tape art with the kids. Just freaking amazing that him and his artist friends did this just to put a smile on someone's face. There was a lady who, her and her husband, had enough money for a down payment on their house. They were well into their 50s. But you know what? They wanted to own their own home. Well, the husband ends up getting sick and passes away. She didn't have any money to pay for the house and his funeral and monument headstone. So she took all the money and put it into a bench headstone so that she can go sit with him and talk to him. She ends up getting evicted from her place because she had no money left. She spent it all on her husband's headstone, the bench. She ends up sleeping right next to her husband in the cemetery. A police officer hears about her and says, "No more. You're not going to be sleeping on the ground in a cemetery where your husband is buried. Not going to happen." It was getting cold out, and he said nobody should be sleeping on the ground. So he takes her in, starts a GoFundMe to raise money to help her, puts her in touch with a local nonprofit to help with housing needs. And 20 days later, she's in her new permanent home. And if that doesn't move you, touch you about helping each other, I just don't know what will. All right. I got one more. What the biscuit? And then we'll wrap it up. So there was a gentleman named O.T. Jackson. O.T. Jackson. Great man. Great man. He was a black man back in the early 1900s. Successful businessman out in Colorado. Says, there's the Homestead Act. I want to create a community for the black people out there that want to own their own farms. So he has this great idea to have a black settlement for farmers. Fantastic. OT purchases 320 acres, which is now Deerfield, Colorado. And that's where the settlement story starts. Because the Homestead Act did not specify who it was for. So he used that loophole for the Black community. Amazing. So when people started hearing about his settlement, they started coming. It was rough for the first few years, not going to lie. Families were digging holes in the side of hillsides to sleep in, tents, before they can build their cabins and actually start cultivating their land. There were issues with water rights, because someone else owned them. But O.T. Jackson had the dream of making this work. Had the dream. So in 1909, he purchased 320 acres, Deerfield, Colorado. Families started coming. It was a struggle. No lie. He got creative because they had to make money. So he started brewing beer. At one point, they started calling it Beerfield. And he would sell the beer to pay his payment, his mortgage on this land. By 1921, 700 settlers at its peak were there, cultivating land, growing crops. They were booming because all the crops that they grew, they were making so much money because it was all going for the soldiers in World War I. Amazing how one man brings so many people together. So many people together. I was so fascinated. And then, unfortunately, the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, ended all of it. The land was bad. People started leaving for California for jobs. It just wasn't working. The economy collapsed. The weather didn't help. But O.T. Jackson was one of 12 settlers still on this property. Still to this day, he held and kept his dignity until 1948 when he passed. Still on this settlement. So, in closing, we all should slow it down, take a look around us, open our eyes, and have gratitude for the small blessings in our life. And be there for each other. It doesn't matter what life brings us. Life only feels fast because we don't stop to pay attention and talk to each other. Come together without hate. Each of these stories that I talked about, not the crime in progress, obviously, shows that throughout history, we can all work together and help each other and be there for each other at no end. Doing selfless acts is what being human is all about. Doesn't matter if you agree, or disagree with topics or how a situation is handled, if you do a positive action, you will get a positive result. I truly believe that. And I think if we just all slow it down a little bit, look around us at all the small things and be grateful. Because next week, I'm going to continue on making sure that I butter your biscuit. So remember, join us for next week when, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'll put out little feelers out there. Come on back, follow, share, subscribe, listen, download. Simply drop me a DM. Let me know how I'm doing. Hopefully I'm doing okay. So go out into the world, be kind, and put a smile on someone's face. Till next time, have a good one.
Thanks for pulling up a chair with us at All About the Biscuits. Remember, life's messy, flaky, and sometimes sweet, but we're in it together. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, leave a review, and pass the plate to a friend. See you next time.